We're going to be starting with a brief program overview and then how to apply for funding for a community transportation needs assessment. That will be the emphasis today, how to apply for the needs assessment with the window or the opening for accepting applications beginning on November 2nd. We will be holding a second webinar tomorrow at 11 a.m. Focused more for tribes, and that may be all who may also be interested in applying. So we'll be doing this again tomorrow, and anyone who is with a tribe would like to participate in that one, feel free. Our next webinar series after this one will cover the mobility project voucher application walkthrough. So today we're talking about needs assessment. The next webinars will be focusing on how to apply for actual implementation projects, and those will be happening on September 28th and September 29th. The opening for submission of applications for mobility projects is planned to occur in winter next year. So there's a little bit of time, but this will be an opportunity if you can participate in that one for those who are interested in possibly applying for projects. You can sign up to receive updates and notifications for all this kind of information on the Clean Mobility Options website, which is at cleanmobilityoptions.org. You can also register for webinars on our events page on the website, and also look at previous webinars that we're recording to look at other background on the program. So now for a few logistics for today's webinar. This meeting is being recorded. It will be available on the website within the next 2 to 4 weeks. If you have any questions during the webinar, we've included time for questions during the presentation and also are going to leave some time at the end. So you can use the raise hand feature as well as the question and answer box to ask a question, and we'll do our best to facilitate comments and questions as we go along. So I'm Josh Meyer. I'm with the Clean Mobility Options Program Administrator team, along with my colleague Joey. Today, we're both going to be presenting and providing an overview of the program. And before we get going, now that you've heard who we are, thought we would ask you to get a sense of what kind of organizations are here today and folks are represented. See who's in the room or on the call or in the Zoom, so to speak. Great. So it looks like we have a pretty good balance between nonprofits and agencies. Both can apply, and then we have a few other folks. So more to come on that. Thank you for taking the poll. And now we can move on to what we're going to be talking about today. So today's agenda, we're going to begin with a recap of the program background, just in general, the Clean Mobility Options pilot program background and the types of funding available for those who aren't familiar. So a little bit of a recap. And we will follow with a more detailed overview of the transportation needs assessment objectives and funding application process. And lastly, I'll turn things over to Joey for the second half, who's going to talk through the application itself and include insights to help with development of the proposal and to help have successful application completion.
Great. And Josh, did you want to turn on your video? Are you able to do that while you're presenting?
Sure. Thanks for reminding me.
Ah, cool. Go to face to a voice.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay. So the program in general. So the program helps under-resourced communities identify and overcome mobility obstacles with funding and technical assistance for needs assessments, the community transportation needs assessments, what we're talking about today, and implementation of zero-emission shared transportation projects. And funding for the program, or sources of funding for the program, include California Climate Investments funds. Those are generated by the greenhouse gas emission reduction cap and trade auction proceeds, as well as funding through the Clean Transportation Program, which is administered by the California Energy Commission. The program itself is administered through the California Air Resources Board and the program administrator team or partnership team that includes CalSTART, Shared Use Mobility Center, who Joey is with, and then CivicWell, who I'm with. And we work together seamlessly as the TA providers and administrators on behalf of CARB. So the overall program goals, or the primary goals of the program, are to increase clean mobility options for disadvantaged and low-income communities and tribes, as defined. Disadvantaged and low-income as defined by state legislation, which we'll get into later. Some of you may be familiar with those designations. It's also to fund community-driven mobility solutions centered on residents' primary needs, their identified needs, and also improving access to clean mobility options that are safe, reliable, convenient, and affordable to communities throughout the state. And finally, of course, the program is geared towards reducing greenhouse gases and other emissions that contribute to criteria pollutants and pollutants in California. So the program in general, the intent of it is to support the piloting of innovative and shared transportation service models that, as I mentioned, reduce greenhouse gases and also increase residents' access to key destinations without having to rely solely on a personal vehicle. Clean mobility options are identified through community engagement and evaluation of the community's transportation needs. So, yeah, the following types of, just as a refresher, what we're talking about when we're talking about clean mobility options are things like EV, electric vehicle car sharing, bike sharing and scooter sharing, carpooling and van pooling, innovative transit services like on-demand shuttles, vans, and buses, and as well as ride-on-demand services similar to those provided by Uber or Lyft. And there are a variety of different combinations of these, and this is not a completely exhaustive list, but this is just to kind of help orient what we're talking about when we're talking about clean and shared transportation. So what does the program fund? Currently, in this round that's coming up, there's a total of at least $21 million available. That's the current amount. And it will fund needs assessment to evaluate community transportation needs and preferred solutions. Also, we'll fund implementation of shared mobility projects, including vehicles, charging equipment, operations, and maintenance. Needs assessments, so as I mentioned, there's a total of at least $21 million available for both types, and needs assessments include up to $100,000 per application for a year-long term, and there is a $200,000 set aside for tribal governments, which we'll get into a little bit more later. And then the mobility projects themselves include up to $1 million per application for a period of 5 years. $2 million is set aside for tribal governments, and $10 million is set aside for previous need assessment awardees from the first round. Currently, we are in the second round. There's been this is the second window. The first window, there was also a first window for needs assessments and mobility projects. And what is a voucher? We call it a voucher. CMO is a voucher-based program. And what that means is a voucher, in this case, is a type of contract that serves as a promise of payments. And the payments are issued when project milestones are reached and provided on a reimbursement basis after costs are incurred over the life of the voucher agreement term. So it has some similarities to a grant, but it's different, and it's a reimbursable cost program with a schedule of payments that can be established as part of the agreement to help ensure that there are regular payments as milestones are reached. So I'm going to pause briefly because that was a lot of information, and see if there are any questions so far, and otherwise I'll keep moving forward. But are any questions about what has been presented so far?
Looks like we have a question from Cheyenne Garrett. I'm going to allow Cheyenne to ask their question. Go ahead, Cheyenne.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So the last slide was very important. So can you go back and was it that one? No, this one. Can you go over that one again? I was taking notes from the prior slide, so I want to
Okay.
make sure I'm understanding this thoroughly.
Yeah, I mean, the voucher, it will basically be it'll be a contract. It'll be an agreement between the program administrator, in this case, CalSTART will be leading that, and the awardee. And costs, you'll incur costs and then submit requests for payment. And the request for payment can be tied to a milestone schedule. So there'll be a milestone schedule that can be created as part of the agreement, so that as you're incurring costs, you submit those costs along the way. I don't know if that helps.
It did, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Okay, and we have another question from Sean. Sean, you're able to unmute and ask your question.
Sure, thank you. This is
Sean, you muted yourself again.
oh,
Unmuted
sorry.
and then muted.
Am I
My apologies.
unmuted?
Go for it.
You're back.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, Sean Cook from KYCC here in Los Angeles. How do the vouchers work with, well, first off, maybe take a half step back. Does this needs assessment grant allow for the hiring of subcontractors for those of us who don't have the technical capacity to perform our own transportation needs assessment?
Yes.
And so, okay, great. So if that is the case, if you can just speak briefly about how that works with the voucher structure?
You know, I think we can get into that a little bit more when we get into the actual application process. When in the second part, when Joey talks, and we can kind of look a little bit more at, you know, how you put it, include a milestone schedule and payment. I'm sorry, and budget for the project.
Okay, sure.
And then you can get a little bit more into it. I do want to mention to everybody on this call, by the way, we know a lot of this work, the help really needs to happen through one-on-one technical assistance. And we are available for that. And on the website, you can go to the website or simply email us asking for technical support. So as questions come up, we can help you out with that. We also have regular office hours and some other ways that you can get support along the way if you have specific questions about your application, your project you're trying to develop. And Joey will point out those resources at the end.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so where are we? We're at the... Okay, so needs assessment overview. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll move on to the actual application walkthrough led by Joey. Right. So first, I wanted to point out that there is an application guide, needs assessment application guide available on our website, the Clean Mobility Options website, along with the implementation manual. The implementation manual is the more detailed set of program guidelines. So we do encourage you to go to the website, take a look at the application guide. It's a walkthrough about what's required, and it's a little more digestible and shorter. But then we also really encourage you, in fact, it's critical that you do get a hold of the implementation manual as well, and take a walk through there, because there's more details in there than there are in the application guide, and it will answer, between those two, it will answer a lot of questions. But again, we're available for TA to help further with that, any questions that come up. So now a little bit more on what a needs assessment is itself, a community transportation needs assessment. So what is a CTNA and why do one? There's two principal reasons. I think it goes without saying, it's to identify and evaluate transportation access needs, preferences, and priorities with data collection and analysis combined with community engagement. So quantitative data, also working with the community. The second reason to do one is that completed needs assessments are a required part of the mobility project voucher application. So anyone that's applying for a mobility project will need to have met the minimum requirements for needs assessments. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And those requirements, an overview, the needs assessments are expected to include a resident survey, and we have information about what that should involve coming later in the presentation, and an analysis of at least 3 existing sources or indicators that explore reliability, accessibility, and affordability of transportation options. So a survey plus at least three quantitative sources. Community engagement through at least 2 venues, such as in-person, virtual workshops, webinars, house meetings, focus groups, interviews, etc. And then finally, a report summarizing the conclusions. And it will be important that a future mobility project voucher, if you're applying for that, will need to demonstrate a connection between the needs assessment that was done and the proposed clean mobility project. So, and there's additional reasons. Completing a needs assessment can support, of course, capacity building, community visioning, partnership development, education, and shared ownership of the outcomes. And it can also help with readiness and requirements to apply for other state programs, many of which are increasingly looking at what kind of work has been done with the community, what kind of data is available to show the need, and went into shaping the actual project that's being proposed for funding. Okay, so a little bit more on CTA funding itself. There is a total of 1 million available for needs assessment vouchers, with a maximum of 100,000 available for each needs assessment voucher over the period of 12 months. And I'll say again, of the 1 million, 200,000 is set aside for California Native American tribes. And I also want to point out that tribal governments can be awarded through the general pool as well. So the idea of the set aside, it's a minimum, but not a cap or a maximum. It's just this is just to set aside to ensure that that some dollars are set aside for tribes. The eligible project areas, I'll walk through them quickly, but then Joey will go through them again, and with a demonstration later on how to see if the area you're looking at is eligible. But basically, there are three types of eligible areas. One are those that are defined as disadvantaged using CalEnviroScreen 4.0. This is a screening tool that has census tracts that are listed based on environmental and pollution burdens and vulnerability, and also combined with other population health and economic characteristics. So there are also census tracts that are defined as low income by state legislation. Those that are at or below 80% of the state median household income, those census tracts would also be eligible, and tribal lands within the disadvantaged communities or low income communities designation. To help you navigate eligible project areas, we have provided on the CMO website an interactive map, and Joey will demonstrate that shortly. As far as eligible project applicants go, public agencies, nonprofits with a presence in California, and there's some background on what qualifies as that, and California Native American tribes. And that includes tribal governments, including all federally recognized tribes in California listed on the most recent notice of the Federal Register, and other non-federally recognized California tribal communities, including those listed on the California Tribal Consultation List, maintained by the California Native American Heritage Commission. Happy to take questions about that eligibility later, if there are, at the end of the presentation. And again, we do have at 11 o'clock tomorrow, this same webinar focused on tribal applicants. Okay. So the application process, applications are awarded on a first come, first served basis, meaning applications are reviewed, evaluated, and awarded in the order they are received until the funds are fully exhausted. The period for submitting applications opens 9 a.m. on November 2nd. If requests exceed the amount of funding available on the first day, a randomization process will be used. So a little bit more on that. If the total amounts of funds requested on day one, that is before 11:59 of the first day, if they exceed the amount of funds available, the applications will be randomized and reviewed in the new randomized order to ensure equitability. And the reason for this is that if a lot of people apply at the same time, first come, first serve, there could be technical reasons why one would come in before the other. So this is, and some people have more bandwidth, different computer capabilities, and so forth. The randomization process that will be used is achieved using a trusted method from random.org. The remaining applications and all others received after the first day will be placed on a wait list should more funding become available. So the window is open for a month, and we encourage people to apply as soon as possible, but should consider applying throughout the process because there may be the possibility that more funding could be added. So how can you apply for needs assessments? So what we've done this year is set up an online application portal, and you can go to cleanmobilityoptions.org. You can see the whole portal and apply online, and Joey's going to walk through that. Or you can email an application or mail, traditional mail, and an email confirmation will be sent once that goes through. And so you can see, the process. They will be timestamped or postmarked. Very important to know that it's not possible to submit early. They will not be accepted. Can't be submitted until 9 o'clock on November 2nd when it opens. And submissions need to be complete. And as I mentioned, with submission, the confirmation email or receipt from either CalSTART or the CMO portal system will let you know that the application has been received. So as they come in, they'll be reviewed for completeness with the opportunity to provide minor clarifications upon request from the administrator during the grace period. So they'll hold the time in the queue, but there will be a chance for again minor clarifications during the grace period, and we'll be looking to make award decisions within a month after the submission window closes. And I invite Cesar or Mateo if you have any updates on that, but I think that's the timing that we're looking for. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Great. Yes. And I should mention Mateo and Cesar are joining us on the call today from CalSTART. And you may hear from them, and maybe Crystal as well, as they have more details about the actual voucher execution and payment process and so forth. And I'll finish with do be aware that once an awardee has been offered an award, they will have to have approvals from the necessary board, council, or approval authority prior to the voucher execution. So with that background or that overview, I know that was a little bit quick. I wanted to stop and open up again the floor for questions. So if you raise your hands or put questions in the chat, that would be fantastic. So any questions from folks on the call?
Looks like we've got a question from Kylie. Kylie, I'm going to allow you to talk and unmute you.
Yeah,
Go.
thanks so much. Apologies if perhaps this was already announced, but how many rounds of funding will be available through this program?
Currently, the only secured round is this one. This is round 2. Doesn't mean another round couldn't happen, but at this point, it has not been determined whether there will be, if there will be future rounds.
Got it. Okay.
All right, and here's another question from, I don't know if that's an L or an I, Lonnie or Ioni.
Hi, I just had a quick question. Are there any required partners for the project team, like community-based organizations, or who specifically we need to include in this process?
For this impartment, Joey will get into that a little bit. They're not required, with one exception. If the lead applicant for needs assessment is not a nonprofit, then we ask that they provide a letter of support from a community-based organization, or similar types association organization, just to show that there's local support for the program. This is not a requirement for tribes, however.
Oh, thank you.
I will say there are more requirements around partnership for mobility projects, but it's not required. It's open for CTNA, but not a requirement other than what I just mentioned.
Great, looks like we have one more question from Claudia Brizuela. Claudia, I'm gonna allow you to, excuse me.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I actually have 2 questions. One kind of tearing off of what you had just mentioned. So are letters of support required or strongly encouraged if you're not a nonprofit?
A single letter of support is required, and Joey, I think in the application portal
You can upload.
Yeah,
there's
add more letters. Yeah,
you can add more letters of support. I think the more support you can get for your project coming out of the community and CBOs is great, to kind of show that community connection. But just as a reminder that this is not an application that's going to be like scored based on the level of community support. So it's not like that's going to increase your chances to receive an award, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
Great.
And then my other question was going to be with regards to the community survey. Can that community survey be one of the engagement activities? Because there's a minimum of 2 community engagement activities, and then there was mention of a community survey that's needed.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, the survey that you're using for your transportation access data analysis component, is not eligible as sort of a community engagement, one of the 2 required community engagement activities. But you can say, follow up with another survey of some sort as a community engagement activity. So if you do your first and kind of initial survey has to be kind of a component of that data access analysis portion, but then you could do another survey as a community engagement event or activity.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and Joey will also, sorry, Joey, I keep telling you what you're going to do, but Joey will have, we actually do have some guidance on for and resources on for developing a survey. We defer to, local communities know what kind of surveys they need to do, but at least you'll have a sense of some guidance and support and a little bit of around expectations for what would be what that quantitative survey might look like. So.
Oh, perfect. Thanks.
Great. So I think we'll take time for one more question. I encourage folks to use the written Q&A as well, if you can. And our team is getting right on responding to those. So the last question will come from Amari. Amari, I can't see the full name. Amari Bertode.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, I will.
Yeah, Amari, you're muted.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had a quick question. I was looking at the implementation manual on the website, and it looked like it might have some different partner and project eligibility requirements. And so I was just wondering whether the manual that's posted to the website and sort of available in that interactive form, is that the latest one?
Yes.
That's the only one that's posted is the latest, and happy to, love to hear from you offline if you're seeing any inconsistencies, but it's really there's more partnership requirements with respect to the project implementation project type applications versus needs assessments.
Okay, I'll look for it again, and if I have any questions, I'll reach out offline.
Great. Thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I'm going to get started then with the CTNA application walkthrough. So thank you all for all those thoughtful questions. And now we're going to get to the CTNA application, which you can find on the website. So again, my name is Joey Juhas Lekumsky, and I'm actually here as a previous project lead on a needs assessment funded by CMO in 2021 in the city of Oxnard. So I have some experience with this process, and I'm happy to be on this side supporting. So here's a quick idea of what the CTNA application will require and what we're going to be going over in the next set of slides. The goal for this application really is not to be as resource intensive as some of those competitive grants that you may be used to writing and really putting your heart and soul into. And I just want to add again that there's always technical assistance to help you along. But just to hit again, this is not a competitive grant. It's about meeting the requirements to be eligible. All right. So the first step is going to be to identify the primary contact. Here is a screenshot directly from the online form that is the application on cleanmobilityoptions.org. Basically, you have to designate as an organization an individual who will serve as the primary contact for all future voucher agreement and program requirement correspondences. That primary contact must be authorized by the lead applicant's organization to act on behalf of the lead applicant in the capacities described here and in the implementation manual. And if your organization has operations that span beyond California, the primary contact has to be employed by the California-based affiliate. And then there's additional information, you might have seen that, that's optional. In there, you could provide any information that would be helpful for communication and coordination. For example, like another means of contact, anything that has to do with accessibility issues for the primary contact, or other correspondence information you may find relevant. So section 2 is going to be the applicant and team profile. Here's a screenshot of sort of what that's going to look like. And there are a few more boxes here that may pop up depending on your selection. So it starts by asking for basic info about the lead organization, like the name, address, and organization type. Depending on the organization type, you may need to provide items like the organization's tax ID number and things like that. So just to keep in mind that the lead applicant is going to be entering a legally binding agreement with Clean Mobility Options. If your team includes sub-applicants, you'll be asked to name them, describe their org type, organization type, and then enter something as far as their role in the project. So I know someone was asking about having contractor sub-applicants that support maybe some technical aspects. You don't need to be too descriptive here. Some examples for that could be conducting community outreach, providing technical support, or something like mapping and design services for that. So just a few words. So there's going to be a couple questions on the applicant and team profile that basically want to know more about the team's qualifications. So bear in mind with these two questions, these aren't bearing directly to just the lead applicant. They are also about your team as a whole. So the team you've built to conduct this. And those questions are, one is a description of your team's qualifications to conduct the needs assessment. So here you might want to describe the history of local engagement and trust building, key areas of expertise, maybe community expertise that the team brings, your understanding of equity and the team's understanding, and then examples of representing or advocating for the community. And then the next is the description of your team's connection to the community. These will ask you to share some of the linkages of the project team and organizations to the target population, ties to grassroots community-based organizations, and how your team is rooted in the culture and the languages that are spoken in your project area. Chance to share about that. Okay. So the next section is going to be the project narrative section, which is just a series of open text responses about your proposed needs assessment. So you might see here the max length is 6,000 characters, but that's actually been changed to 3,000 characters. Now, I know from experience, and maybe a lot of you too, from experience know that character word limits can be kind of frustrating when it comes to filling out competitive grants when you're really trying to make the case that you stand out amongst other applicants, right? But here it's just critical to fill these out as best you can. And as a reminder, this is not a competitive grant. We're really just looking for answers, your best answer to these. All right. So let's next just walk through these 4 responses here. So the first one is going to be why a transportation needs assessment is needed, more specific to your project area. This is an opportunity to discuss the history of environmental, social, and economic challenges, to describe areas of disinvestment, intentional neglect, and kind of what the built environment looks like as a result of that. And then what are the populations, communities, and demographics historically underrepresented in the community transportation or environmental planning that your needs assessment, that really necessitates your needs assessment. Okay, the second question is going to be a quick summary of some of the existing transportation needs assessment efforts. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean has someone done a transportation needs assessment before you, but you're aware of some of the efforts to perhaps engage the community and find out about these needs. They include things like sustainability plans, active transportation plans, specific plans, general plans, anything where the community has been engaged or not to establish transportation needs for the project area. And you can describe a little bit of what you'll be doing that's new or different. And you don't necessarily need to talk about anything new you might discover, but my guess is that you would. Next, so the potential transportation gaps and solutions your needs assessment will address. So here you want to explain sort of gaps that are existing in the current understanding of the community need. So these gaps could include unanswered questions, a lack of specific knowledge, maybe stemming from insufficient community engagement with particular stakeholder groups, limitations with methods that have been employed to date, and you could point out maybe some gaps in the analyses that have become out of date, for example. And you can also add, what do you think the community might propose as potential solutions based on the work that you're doing? What do you see as the potential unmet needs in transportation, mobility, or accessibility that you might discover by trying to close some of these knowledge gaps, right? So this can be kind of the hypothesis of your needs assessment. And last, you'll be asked to describe the timeline and a plan to conduct the activities that will be that are necessary for the transportation needs assessment methodology, as well as optional elements if applicable. So the approach must include a timeline and plan for those required elements that Josh talked about. Those are the transportation access data analysis. So maybe describe your plan to administer that first survey. You can describe your data collection approach, maybe pick some of the data sources that you're going to be using and how you're going to be using those to inform your needs assessment. You want to describe your plans to engage the community. Remember, there's a minimum of at least 2 community engagement activities. So what's your plan there? And then a description of your final report, sort of timing and process as well. And then as an option, you can talk about the project preparation and design, which is a chance to really take everything you found in the summary report and start planning what that mobility project is going to be that's going to meet a need. One thing that is really nice to supplement that last response with is something like this, a project timeline. So this can supplement, a narrative response by sort of showing over the course of the project period, when will you be carrying out the required activities? What are the activities that you're going to be carrying out? So here's an example we see, in the first couple months, doing some of the data analysis, right? The desk work, developing that survey. And then in those middle months, conducting the survey, conducting outreach activities, doing that community engagement. And then at the end, saving some time to really write an excellent summary report. So this is something that you can upload as a supplemental material. We'll talk about that in a second, but that is that. Okay, so I know there might have been some questions about, what are some of the example data sources we can use for our data analysis, or maybe what are some eligible community engagement activities? We do have a nice suite of resources here that you can use, which are maybe meant for carrying out the needs assessment itself, but they're going to be useful for planning one as well, as far as getting an idea of some of those eligible data sources for the data analysis or community engagement activities. So we will be sharing these slides after the webinar. We'll be mailing them out to you all, and you'll have a chance to look through some of these sources. I'm going to pause there since that was quite a bit, and I'll take some questions from attendees if there are any. Feel free to use the raise hand feature.
Hi, Joey. We have a question from Christine. Christine, I'm going to unmute you now.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I had a question about the timing between part 1 and part 2. It would be really helpful if we could do a technical assistance application and then follow up with a full application. But can you give me a sense of what that timing is? Because I'm looking on the website and it's not spelled out for me. I know that the first application is due in November. And then what about part 2? Do you have a sense of what that timing is?
Great question, Christine. Thank you. Yeah, some distinctions to be drawn there for sure. This needs assessment application will only have one application to submit, and that's the one that we're going through. So November 2nd, that's when that window opens. This will be applicant's only submission. The mobility project voucher is the one that has sort of a 2-phase process. Does that answer your question?
Sorry about that. So no, I'm still a little confused, because if we want to apply for technical assistance and then also apply for the full voucher, we need the technical assistance first, or do we have the option of just applying directly to the voucher program itself?
I see. Good question. Good question. So from now until November, anyone has the ability to utilize technical assistance to talk to the team, to talk through elements of their application, ask questions about their eligibility, about their proposed methodology and such. And then that will be all in sort of preparation for submitting the one and only application in November. So from here on out, you could give us a call this afternoon if you wanted to and start asking questions, and we're available for that.
Christine, this is Josh. You're working with the city of Arvin, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And I don't recall, have you received a needs assessment award? I think Arvin did, or am I wrong in the first round?
No, we went straight for the voucher program. I guess
Okay.
we're on a waiting list and potentially funded, but I'm thinking about a second project, which is expanding transit using electric buses, because we have limited service. So for that, I'm thinking about going through a needs assessment.
Okay. Yeah, just contact us. Yeah, you can get TA, contact us, and then we can talk through like the steps, and okay, I just wanted to check. Thank you.
So I'm still confused about part 1 and part 2 on your website. So in November, is the full voucher application due, or is just the TA application due, or is it?
There's no application. There's a request for TA if you want technical assistance, and you get it.
Okay.
You just request it. You get it, and there's no application for that. And the needs assessment's just November 2nd. That's it. One application. The mobility project has 2 phases, and that starts and opens in February, and there's more on that coming on September 28th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So presumably, if an entity applied for a needs assessment voucher, and then they could accomplish that in that 2-month window and then go on to round 2 to part 2 of the application.
Good question. I'm of the opinion that no, that would be quite a challenge to try to get a needs assessment done in 2 months, but it wouldn't be impossible. It wouldn't be impossible, but you wouldn't know necessarily whether you received the needs assessment by the time you were applying for the mobility voucher. So there are sorry, Joey, for the benefit of everybody on the call, that we, as a TA providers, we can talk through with you to see if you may feel you've already met or close to have met the requirements of a needs assessment for the mobility voucher that you applied for in February, or if there may be a little bit of supplemental work you want to do between now and then to make sure you've met that requirement. So that is a possibility for those who are deciding whether they want to apply for needs assessment, or if they want to just, or if they feel that they're pretty far along and need to decide whether they want to hold off on that instead just apply directly for an implementation project.
Okay, are you guys still doing the open house on Thursdays?
Yeah, office hours every Thursday from 12 to 1.
Okay,
There's a Zoom link on the website at cleanmobilityoptions.org/help. And that
Okay,
also
thank
is where you can find the form to request technical assistance, the hotline, and email contact for that as well.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I see it. Ava has raised their hand. Ava, if you want to speak. Oh, no. Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's Ava Yakubirad from Clean Mobility Options Voucher Pilots Program, CARB staff. I just want to clarify something here in case if it's a question for other folks. In order to be eligible and apply for mobility project vouchers to do a project for, a shuttle bus transit or whatever project you have in mind, you are not required to do needs assessment through this program. So I'm not sure if that's completely clear yet. You need to have a needs assessment, something that shows that what the project that you're proposing is connected to what actually your residents need. So in order to be eligible for mobility projects, you have to have a needs assessment, which meets the, you have done your engagement process, you have done your data analysis, but it shouldn't be necessarily by CMO program. So I wanted to note that, and that's it. Thank you, Josh and Joey.
Thank you so much, Ava. All right. I'm going to keep moving in the interest of time. I do see raised hands. If you can try to pose your question in the Q&A, I know our team is working on getting those answered. We will have some time at the end for some more Q&A. So let's see if we can get through some more slides here and then save some time for question and answer. So I appreciate everyone's patience and your interest in asking questions, of course. It means that you're listening, so thank you. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about your project area and your needs assessment. So you'll recall that eligibility is determined by the census tract. There are links to mapping resources. Again, here's a screenshot from the application itself. So this is what it's going to look like when you're filling it out. Odds are you already know which one of these eligible areas your project area is in if you're getting this far in the application. So now it's just a matter of listing the census tracts, choosing a project area description, describing demographics, and then uploading a map of your project area. So here again are the eligible categories of census tracts and tribal lands. There is a census tract lookup tool linked here, also on the website, and we will be sending these slides out to you all afterward. Okay. Next, you need to choose your project area description. Basically right here in this dropdown, all choices here are eligible. And if you're applying and you select unincorporated community, you should only pick that if and only if none of the project area falls within an incorporated area. So each lead applicant can only submit one CTNA application for an eligible area, but each lead applicant may submit more than one, up to 3, if the proposed projects are all entirely within unincorporated county jurisdiction, so unincorporated areas. Next, it'll ask you to just name the county in which your project area is in. Just answer that as accurately as you're able. And then in this field, description of demographics, you can provide a brief demographic description of the project area that is going to benefit from participation in this project. So these can be data points with considerations of income, household size, household, age, race, gender, languages spoken, and anything else you think is relevant. It's really important, I think, that you include what makes it relevant to you as well. And you'll see on this screen, this is a screenshot from the application. The last item is going to be to upload a project area map. So we have a little CMO mapping tool that you'll be able to use to upload your project map. And I'm going to walk through that real quick. So clicking on this link, it's going to bring up a map of the state with all of our eligible communities right here, whether they're EnviroScreen 4.0 or AB 1550 disadvantaged communities. So we're going to zoom into our project area here. Click the select right here, select by point, and then we'll click a census tract. Now, maybe your project area is just one census tract, that's fine, you would proceed from here, or maybe it's multiple. So by holding shift, I can pick more than one eligible census tract here. And then what I'm gonna do is click the print button, which will sort of allow me to create a PDF that I can then download. It's possible this could take just a second. So in the event that this it was working earlier, but it is hot, as many of you know. So, okay, great. So then this screen will pop up. I'll just hit the print button. It'll say creating print. And then when that's done, I'll just click on this PDF logo right here. And what that's going to do is basically just make an image, like a 8.5 by 11 image that just shows the project area, shows the highlighted census tracts that I'll be able to download and then upload onto the application. So that's that. And of course, there's a link to this on the website. And in the application guide. And if there's anyone that, if you need help with this, we have our team on hand to help you through that. So I'll leave that where it is. There are also, in the slide deck is a step-by-step guide for this. I need to be able to go to full screen. Okay, well, we'll just take it from here and see if my thing, okay, pop up. So we'll follow up. Next, we've got the step-by-step instructions. Okay, the next thing is going to be the budget summary. So let's talk about that. In order to submit a full and eligible application, you're going to need to provide a clear, concise, and reasonable budget that lists all of your expenditures. For this part, applications must use the budget template that is provided by Clean Mobility Options on the Clean Mobility Options website. The budget must include a description of the total estimated project costs during the 12 months voucher agreement term, itemized by project cost components. So this budget is going to be the basis for your future payment requests and milestones. So it's important that it does lay out sort of the narrative timeline of when things will be taken care of and completed. So we'll get into some sample eligible expenses. There is a full list in the implementation manual, which is section P. Okay, and just to check in with you, Josh, are you able to see the screen?
Excuse me, the question.
Are you able to
is,
see my shared screen, the budget summary?
what you need to do, which would be helpful, is if you take your cursor, go all the way down to the bottom far right and click on slideshow.
Oh, great. Wow.
And then I think we'll get back again there. That way now we can see the full slideshow without any other pieces. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. All right, so here's what the budget template is going to look like. You'll see this one is filled out. It is a sample budget template. And you'll see these kind of expense categories right here on the left. You'll notice those kind of are tied to elements of the needs assessment methodology. So those 5 categories, these are the activities, or 5 categories, if you will. These are required components of the needs assessment methodology. And then you have administration costs, you have your project presentation and design if you choose to do that. And then all of your eligible costs must be related to one of these categories. Some of those eligible costs include things like project preparation and design, event planning, material design, outreach materials, incentives for participation, education elements on clean vehicle technology, maybe like a demonstration event or something like that. And of course, voucher administration costs as well. So I know there was a question about sub-applicants. Basically, those would be written in to this budget as a sub-applicant. And whichever one of these elements that they would be working on, you would sort of want to put them in that category. All right. So some quick tips about the budget. So I remember when I was doing this application, a big one for me that I ran into down the road was that I was a little too granular with my my budget, too specific. So these projects are dynamic. Think about things like the pandemic, or your curveballs like that, or maybe you're discovering things as you go that might require a change in strategy at some point. So thinking about that, you can be broad. And don't forget to cover these so-called hidden costs. There are stringent insurance requirements for CMO, including coverage that you may not already have. So you might want to find those requirements, which we can talk about in TA, and then check with your insurance broker about how much those would cost, and then maybe factor those into your budget. You'll also want to build in overhead administration costs, of course, and then factor in Clean Mobility Equity Alliance, or CMEA, meetings. So participation in CMEA, it's going to consist of meetings with your fellow awardees to talk about project progress and project challenges and sort of work together through some of those. And it will also give you an opportunity to meet with the full network of CMO awardees implementing projects around the state, past needs assessment awardees, and other folks working on clean mobility to really gather and learn and work on potential solutions to some of the challenges facing these kinds of programs, communities, and mobility options. I'm gonna pause again there for some questions. There are just a few more elements of the application to go over, but I know that was some, the eligibility map and whatnot. Does anyone have any questions on anything I've just been talking about? I see some raised hands from earlier. How about Jesse Rosenberg?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Number one, this has been really helpful. And number two, I believe, I have two organizations that will support, both projects. I just wanted to know if, I think there was like a year cutoff for a needs assessment to be valid. So ours was done in 2016 for Santa Barbara. And we would be doing and applying for a regional bike share program. So I'm assuming that we would probably need a new CTNA. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
We
Okay.
would need to make
Then-
conduct, yeah, within the last 4 years.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I remember we had just missed the cutoff by a couple months. So, okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries at all. And then would that require, so every community that we want to be involved with in bike share, like Goleta, Carp, Summerland, Santa Barbara, would we need to do, we would need to include all of those communities within that needs assessment, correct? When we're answering the questions.
That's a good question. I think that's a good one to take to a one-on-one TA meeting. But yeah, I mean, the needs assessment needs to be the mobility project. It has to show that it's coming out of the needs assessment. And if the mobility project is being implemented across the swath of Santa Barbara County, then the needs assessment would need to be tied to a needs assessment that's showing a need across that same project.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You're
That
welcome.
answers my question.
Great. Okay, how about Jenny? Forgive me if I mispronounce this. Cuida.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Fuck.
What?
Need to apply to this.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jenny. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Is there I saw the hidden costs. Is there a indirect cost rate cap? Or can that be included, and is there a cap?
That is an excellent question. I don't know if we have an answer from CalStart on that, but I do know that in the previous year, it was 10%.
10%. And then, okay, I forgot the rest of my question. That's fine. Thank you.
Sorry. There is an opportunity to work with the accounting team to sort of sort through the fringe benefits and other things that you're offering, to staff working on the project as well. So I'll add that. And that's kind of another one-on-one technical assistance kind of conversation.
I also, this is Mateo with CalStart, and just to kind of help answer your questions, we do provide formulas and calculations to be included in indirect and fringe. So similar to what Joey was saying, is that we do provide assistance and calculations for indirect costs. So that's something that you can work with our accounting and a reimbursement manager.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mateo. All right, and I see Claudia has a question. Claudia Brizuela.
Hi, thank you. I put this question in the chat as well, but hasn't been answered. I was just wondering, for the description of the demographics, like how detailed do we need to be? Should we indicate, percentage breakdown of race, language, average income per household, or just merely stating certain incomes, languages, and race for certain census tracts? Is that enough?
That's a good question. I think that either of those would work.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna move on. I see a couple more raised hands questions. I know that the team is working on answering your questions in the Q&A and getting through those. So thank you for bearing with us on that. I'm just gonna try to get through the rest of this webinar here, and then hopefully we can save some time for more questions. So the next section, I know this kind of came up, which is great. We're going to talk about the community-based organization support. So lead applicants must either be a community-based organization or submit a letter of support for their proposal from a project-related CBO. So project-related just means that the CBO represents community members who will be impacted by the project or have a service background related to the type of project, to this project. So applicants that are making use of a third-party CBO must provide a letter of commitment from the organization. The letter of commitment should explain how the CBO meets the minimum criteria and demonstrates their support for the project. So in order to be considered a CBO for the purposes of CMO, Clean Mobility Options, an organization must meet at least 2 of the following 3 criteria. They're listed here. I'll read them. We will be sharing these slides. The organization is place-based with an explicit geographic focus area that includes the proposed project area. Number 2, staff members, volunteers, or board members reside in the community where the project is located. And number 3, the organization has a demonstrated track record of at least 1 year providing services in the proposed project area. And then applicants will be asked to provide a brief summary supporting their selections here in the application. Just enough to back up 2 out of 3. Don't go out of your way to, again, max out like the 3,000 characters. Just support the 2 out of 3 that you've chosen. And then the next section is just going to be a chance to upload supporting documents. Remember, we talked about that timeline chart. Other optional supporting documents could be more letters of commitment from local or regional public agencies. Maybe a required one could be the evidence of tax exempt status or evidence of the lead applicant incorporation for 1 year. So there's that. And then the next section, which is the last, will be the signature and attestation. And the last thing your primary contact will have to do is sign the application. And there are several ways to do so through the online form, or if you're mailing it in, just sign the paper. And please ensure that your team, including some legal counsel, just to be sure, has read through and agrees to comply with all the program requirements and terms and conditions described in the implementation manual when you apply. All right. That's the application. So we made it. Want to talk a little bit now about the things we've been alluding to as far as technical assistance, and then also some of the resources that are available to applicants online. So there is a CTNA sample application that will be online and available for you all to look at very soon. Definitely a good example of just meeting those requirements, right? Not taking this competitive tack of you have something to prove, right? Just answer the questions, meet the requirements, and you'll be good. Another one is technical assistance support. As we've been saying, there is one-on-one technical assistance available to you throughout this application process for the next 2 months. There's no cap on the TA you can receive, and there's more than one way to get it. So some of those are here on the left: email, phone calls, CMO office hours, regional information sessions, which will be starting in September. You can set up a Zoom meeting so we can do some screen sharing. Those are all available. You can get help with things like understanding eligibility, budget advice, project design, developing partnerships, and a whole lot more, as I'm sure there might be a lot of questions. Things that we can't do: fill out the application or answer questions for you, write the budget for you, and things like that, like kind of directly inputting. And if there's something that crosses a boundary, we'll surely let you know, but I would say it doesn't hurt to ask. We'll be good about that. Here's some helpful links for technical assistance and support. All these are available at cleanmobilityoptions.org/help, including the link to the office hours, which are every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I know there was a question, about upcoming webinars. So at the end of September, there will be some webinars about the mobility project voucher application, part one of it, since that is the two-part application. We'll have, and a variety of other ones, setting CMO applicant expectations, and then benefits of having a mobility provider on a team for a mobility project voucher. So dates for those last two will be coming soon, and links to all these will be blasted out in an email and then also available online soon. And probably we'll put links to them when we send the slide deck out. And that concludes the webinar for now. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, CalSTART, my Shared Use Mobility Center colleagues, California Air Resources Board, CivicWell, and the California Energy Commission. So I guess we have the option now if we want to take some more questions. Josh, what do you think? Or Mateo? Okay. Okay, I see a raised hand from Christine. Christine, do you have a question? Okay, it might have been still raised from before. I should have. Okay, Eva.
Hi, Joey. I was wondering if we can take some questions from the chat box and answer them live.
That's a great idea. Yeah, let's work through some of those. Okay, let's start with the first one. Can applicants combine two census tracts that aren't next to each other for the needs assessment? Okay, so my understanding, the answer is yes. There needs to be some sign that those, they're in the same county at the very least, and that also the demographics community. I think you just have to do a little narrative work to kind of explain how those two are relevant to each other and how the needs assessment coming from two non-contiguous census tracts is going to yield like a mobility solution for a similar one for those two. Anything to add? I heard an inhale.
For needs assessment, yes. For mobility projects, possibly, but we're researching the answer a little more closely just to make sure we give a full, complete, accurate answer. But I think that we should just double check on that. If you have non-contiguous census tracts, that might be a question for also for TA too, to see like how the project might work. But
okay,
we'll make sure to have that answer, particularly by the time we get to September 28th and 29th when we're going to the project voucher application walkthrough.
Great. Okay, an anonymous attendee has asked, can you summarize any differences in the CTNA application requirements or selection process between this round and the first round? Well, as someone that applied in the first round, I can say that this application is much less involved. I think there's an understanding that, it's not a competitive grant, and the workload seems a lot lighter, which I think is a good thing. The randomization is new this round, and the online form is also something that's new. All right. We have a question from Ione again, for the project area that we will assess, does 100% of the area have to fall within the 3 eligible designations? For instance, if we are interested in a micro-transit zone that includes small segments of census tracts that do not have one of those 3 designations, if it's connecting to a shopping center adjacent to the community center, would that be eligible? What I would say is this is another good question for one-on-one TA, but since, maybe a lot of people have the same question now, I'll say that, the needs assessment itself, the activities need to be conducted within an eligible project area. If something that comes out of it is that residents in that area need mobility options to get out of the project area, that's something that could be, included in the project design if and when you were applying for a mobility project voucher. So I hope that's helpful.
I think, yeah, with the needs assessment, you definitely want to include the areas that are eligible, obviously, or wouldn't be eligible. But I would keep in mind, in the course of the project, if it turned, you still want to be focusing the needs assessment on those areas, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't be identified by committee members that there are, census tracts and other jurisdictional boundaries that need to be taken into consideration. So I think there's a little bit of flexibility, but we definitely wouldn't want a situation where somebody would come in and say, we're going to look at this area that's qualified and actually look at a completely different area that's not doesn't meet eligibility, because it's for disadvantaged communities and low-income communities and tribal lands.
All right, great. One more question. Thank you, Claudia. From an anonymous attendee, is it possible for a list of today's webinar participants to be shared afterwards for the purpose of collaboration and forming partnerships? We'd have to get back to you on that. If it's in the email that we send out, then the answer is yes. But I would, maybe you can make some friends in the office hours, joining those. But maybe that's another conversation for TA as well, where we can sort of think about potential project partners. All right, so that's the last question. Is a van pool car share program that operates countywide and serves all DACs and low-income communities an eligible project? So that's a good question for the Mobility Project Voucher webinar on the 28th of September, since that pertains to those projects. All right, so it looks like that's all of our questions answered. Let me see if anyone has their hand raised. Shoot.
I think we're good on that. And Joy, I don't see any hands raised.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much again from the whole team here. And we wish you luck, and we really hope to hear from you utilizing any of these one-on-one technical assistance services that we have available. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay cool and take care.